Hello and welcome to another episode of Life in the Mind, a neurodivergent podcast presented by neurodivergent people. I'm Joy Amy Wigman.
And I'm Maurice Spear.
And this is one of our topic episodes, and we have our guest Paul Avery on with us.
Hi. Sorry, I should say hi.
Yes, say hi.
I just nodded.
You just
Listening to the podcast.
Excellent soundbite. Paul Avery nodding.
Nods.
We're going to have a little chat about organised religion and neurodiversity. I've been reading a study by Catherine Caldwell Harris, who's a psychology professor in Boston, and she's done a study that suggests that this is specific to autistic people rather than all neurodiverse people, but that autistic people are much more likely to reject organised religion in favour of their own independently constructed belief systems, and that they're also much more likely to be agnostic or atheist, which is I thought was quite interesting.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you wonder why, is it the questioning? Is it the being outside of societal norms already, or certain?
Yeah, so the study seems to suggest that it's because of the logic that comes with a lot of neurodivergence, that people question why they're doing things rather than just doing them.
Yeah, and it's hard to know whether it's related to American evangelical Christianity, or because I think I can really speak about Christianity more than anything else, but I think some forms of Christianity have a much more eclectic and maybe mystical kind of parts to them, which I think appeals to some neurodivergent people, whereas rules of sort of evangelical Christianity, which is here's the box. This is Christianity. Yeah. This is all religion, in fact, everything else not correct. That's a hard box to squeeze yourself into when you don't even see the world like
as the normal box would go.
Yeah.
Especially,
I'm not saying hashtag not all evangelical Christians. There are plenty of evangelical Christians who are neurodiverse.
Oh god, yeah.
Work their way through.
You can see how the rules and routine of it and the structures and things can actually be really, really appealing for neurodivergence at the same time, can't we?
For me,
it's really interesting.
with ADHD, because I was 20 years really in an evangelical church, preaching, leading, doing stuff, and the rules, the fact that I didn't have to think
about what the rules were,
about this is how life works, this is it. And I can just look it up and go, that's how life works.
Yeah.
And then as I've got older, I go, hang on, that doesn't feel right to me. And I think for a lot of people, as soon as you, especially if you're autistic or got ADHD, you shatter that one bit, the rest of it breaks. Which perhaps other people they find it easier to live with the doublethink.
Yeah, so I was going to say about doublethink because in my experience of organised religion is early on in life with the Methodist Christian church and then later on with Wicca, and I think it was the doublethink that kind of made me go, hang on, no, this doesn't work for me. Because how can you believe two things that contradict each other? And also the idea that faith is something that is about belief and what you feel, and to have something that's written by somebody else and adhering to somebody else's beliefs rather than just being in touch with your own, it didn't make sense.
That's interesting.
So I really liked I used to go to church with a school friend of mine when I was in primary school. I would go over to her family's house and I would go with her family and we'd go to church, and I enjoyed going because it was people and it was social and it was a community, but it was also very confused by a lot of it.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that it depends. I think it's often, well, sometimes both. Is that me catching myself, or is that just me choosing multiple words? Interesting. Anywho, it's like a lot of things in life where it's how it's presented to you is a really big aspect of something. So if, for example, take the Bible, because that's what I think our main experience across the table is, shared experience. If someone comes to you and gives you these kind of rules and laws and commandments, let's say, and they give them as literal, and it's actual, these are very literally what you have to do, and this particular interpretation of them, or there's no room for interpretation. This is how we have interpreted. This is what they are to the letter. Follow this. No questioning at all. That's a very different thing too. So these are rules, these are laws, these are the commandments, let's say. They are a sentence about something, and there is nuance that can be worked into that. There is, like anything, if you say a sentence about something, and then you can discuss it and go, I understand what your understanding of that is, because of the nuance of interpretation, translation, which translation you're going for, or just the context of the moment you're saying a sentence is, the inflection, the context, and all of those things can change it. And so even just those two different things of this is hard and fast literal, and this is something open to discussion, is gonna immediately just create such a different.
And I think it's one of the. That's why I'm glad we're talking about organised religion as opposed to faith, because I think that's the thing when you get into an organised religion. If you like, the Bible is written by hundreds of people over the course of thousands of years. It's all their experiences of God and their understanding of God, and they're polygamous, and they've got all sorts of ways of living, all the different people. The organised religion goes, that's not okay. You go, Abraham, he had more than one wife, and this. Well, no, sorry, Abraham didn't. He did, however, pimp his wife out. Apparently, that's cool. And I think, for me anyway, like with coming to the Bible and going, it's just a way of seeing God. It's almost like it's not an instruction manual, it's a portrait. It's a sort of way for an unknowable being to try and show who they are. And I think if religion presented itself more like that, I think certainly more people with ADHD would go, okay. And I think actually more autistic people, because it's interesting what you were saying about science. Like science is you always have to put your faith in what you're reading. Yeah. Unless you're, and everyone does, because even if you're Stephen Hawking, if a super intellectual biologist says something to him, he has to go, well, okay.
That's your field of study. You're the expert. Okay, cool.
And I think what you see with science is it goes, we know this stuff, but we're always discovering new things.
Yeah.
And I think for someone with autism, it's easier to go, okay, I get those rules.
These are the knowables, these are the unknowables.
Whereas if you go, we know everything.
Yes.
And then as soon as you go, well, what about this thing? Yeah, we don't know that. Well, hang on. Didn't you know everything? Well, if
everything crumbled.
You can't have both. Yes. Whereas science goes, hey, we know. This is the discover. This science is about finding the stuff we don't know.
Yeah.
I think,
and religion should be the same.
Yeah. So we've obviously, so we're married, so we've had discussions about this before, and
not all of us.
Not all of us. Not three of us.
Although
Paul and I,
in the Old Testament, it would have been fine.
We would have in this room together.
Yeah, and we've had discussions about this before. So I'm a practicing pagan that leans more towards kind of Celtic Christianity. So I have Christianity within my paganism, but because it's not the Christianity of the organised church, like people don't take it as Christianity because it's monotheistic. And sometimes Paul will say, but I don't know I don't know what your opinions are of this part of like your religion. What do you believe there? And I think my little autistic brain has this thing of, I have not done the sufficient research and the sufficient scientific study to tell you what my stand-fast opinion of this is. this is what I hope. But I can't put any like definite on it because I have not done enough. There's no empirical data. I've not done the study into it. I have not looked up all the different versions of this particular deity or this particular festival. And so, for me, being pinned down by anything in particular. And when I started looking into like pagan-y type stuff, because I've always felt spiritual in that way, in kind of a nature-led way, Wicca was the first thing that came up. And the more I learned about it, the more I disliked it greatly, because the more I discovered that a lot of it was just literally made up. I know people will argue that, a lot of religions are made up, but like there's no tradition to a lot of the stuff. It's just stuff that a guy has written down. And Wicca only started in 1956 with Gerald Gardner, who was a homophobic bloke who basically stole his ideas from Margaret Murray's witch cult theories. And I was like, oh, no.
Some people passionately hold.
Oh, yes. No, that's fine. But it's fine. And if it speaks to you, that's fine. I'm saying that because it was a created thing, it was a created religion in order to put structures on something that deliberately did not have structure.
Yeah.
And so I've found settling in with the unknowings and being clear in the I don't know that that's a fact, but that's what I would like to be.
Have you ever, because I wondered this before, why from a sociological and anthropological standpoint does religion arise? And I've been I think about the whole kind of the potential place of autism and ADHD brains, and dyscalculia, dyslexia, dyspraxia brains within kind of our evolutionary path of that kind of mutation edge, of autistic people being the wallkeepers, the tradition holders, and going, let's put some structures around this, and we all hold this really important, so let's make that more important. And then ADHD. But it's just an interesting thought. It's one of these musings kind of things that's just mixed together.
Well, there's a really interesting thing I think about a lot of religious communities is that, certainly my experience of evangelical Christianity, and I see it with Muslim friends of mine, is masking is part of a religious person's life, right? I know Muslims, I've been to curry houses with Muslims where they're like, is this halal? And as soon as the person says, yes, it's halal, they're like, cool. And I'm like, but they do serve alcohol here. Are you sure it's halal? It doesn't matter because I asked. Right?
In terms of doing the...
Yeah. And that's... Obviously, loads of Muslims are very devout and wonderful people. Let's just say that. But the same with Christianity, I know people who I've been at a club with on a Saturday night. They're a different person when they're serving tea and coffee on a Sunday morning. And I think anyone listening who is Christian or Muslim or from any of those will go, yeah, masking is part of, it's not a fun part and it's not a good part. And probably most people say we shouldn't do it. But I wonder if a lot of people who are autistic go, hang on, sorry, now I have to have two masks. Sorry, you're masking? Oh, hang on. I've spent 40 years learning your social rules and you put a different mask on.
How dare you? Why are the rules different here? I had to learn those rules.
So I don't know. Because when I first thought that, I thought, surely that works for neurodivergent people. We're masking all the time. But actually, you've got to put a new mask, a different mask.
You can see both sides of it, though, can't you? That could be really, really positive for some people, in that you're always existing within a world where you literally have a rule book, and someone you can go to ask, what do I do in this situation? And they will tell you, either in a confessional booth or other things there. My brain's too scattered to actually go into any of the other, but all through prayer or something, trying to gain a feeling of control over something, by imbuing your hopes and your fears with some power and asking for help from something beyond yourself, whether or not it exists. I mean, I'm very much I think I'm probably more spiritual, but I was brought up Christian, and I'm very aware that there's limits to human understanding
Mm.
And I think that's a really important thing for me. But you can see how a rigid structure and actually a space of you have to wear this mask and everybody will be existing within this rulebook of rules could be really useful. But also with that extra mask thing that you're saying, so just
no, carry on, sorry.
It could be a really it could be an extra one too far, or could be a link back to the safety of your world where there are these set rules. Because actually, if you're always going out and you do this thing that links you back to your community, then that mask is actually becoming a helpful thing. It's an interesting one.
Yeah, because we've talked about helpful masks and unhelpful masks kind of briefly on previous episodes. But like, there's a church that I go to, a Christian church that I go to occasionally, and I feel like they don't care whether I believe all the same things that they believe, and they care about me. And it's community. The big thing that really the only thing in organized religion, not talking about faith because it's a completely different thing, in organized religion is that you get a community from it. And I think especially in today's world, community it's a tricky thing. And people don't talk to their neighbors, and that's a really big aspect for me, to go somewhere where I know the people and I know that they will be kind to me if I'm having a bad day.
Yes.
I don't particularly feel like I need to mask around them.
And it's also a sensorily safe space, isn't it?
It
because
is.
It's not just going to randomly have
no, it's not random.
Blasting music or
Although, I was going to say, we obviously go to the same church.
Yeah.
And it is a real relaxed, it's sort of relaxed. What you expect from a Sunday service. There's worship and there's a preach, normal stuff.
Yeah.
However, right, you can be whoever you are and do whatever you want while that service is happening. So kids can run around. There's comfy sofas at the back. So if people want to just go and have a chat, they can do that. You'll see people chatting outside. And, the majority of people are joining in with what's happening. But, for me, the sensory overwhelm of this space where you can just be who you are is something else. Sometimes.
However, they have just built a soundproof glass booth, right? So you can go and
scream in it.
You can go and make noise in it.
Yeah,
so a lot of times people will take kids in there if they're being noisy, but it's like it's glass, so you're still part of the congregation and you can still hear the sermon going on. So, but you don't have to worry that you're upsetting anybody else because you're making loads of noise. Yeah, which is
if your baby is particularly, if they're teething or something that day really bad, then you can still be part of it. But you can just step away in there and still have your baby still be looking after that.
So much more accessible. Love it.
And also, it's probably my thing because actually, I feel like I'm supposed to sit in the seats and do the things. Actually, they don't care. I could go and sit at the back on my phone and I'd enjoy the service much more. But I don't because of your years of social pressure or whatever.
Yeah, it is interesting.
So I guess what we're saying as people is that there's lots of pluses for it and there are lots of notes.
It's just an interesting thing to think about and question and work out your individual.
Whether it is part of a neurodivergence thing, the reasons why I enjoy or don't enjoy that particular experience. Looking through that lens.
Know oneself, and I think in through faith and how that relates with the world, and organized religion is a possible way that you can relate to the world. Yeah, you find yourself, that we connect. We find often the biggest parts of ourselves through reflection on what we want from the world, what we believe in, what we hold to be important, are showing some of the deepest parts of us. And in organized religion, if we've chosen which one we're attaching to, that's showing something within us.
I think that's a lovely place to finish. That's really nice.
I was just,
No, it was just,
wait, brain just did something. What?
it clicked in and it was wonderful, Murray. Don't worry about it.
I have no idea what you said.
So if you've got any comments you'd like to make, please do comment underneath. All the liking and subscribing. And thank you so much for being with us today, Paul, to have a little chat about that.
Thank you. Can I say one more thing that Eddie can slide in if he wants to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, there's a song that most people know, which is If I Were a Butterfly, right?
Yeah.
You know this song?
Yeah, if I were a butterfly, thank you, Lord.
For giving me wings. No.
No.
Anyway, if you grew up in church in the 80s, you'd know this. But one of the lines is, I just thank you, Father, for making me me. And when I was a kid and felt different, that absolutely resonated with me. And I think as I grew up in the church and through youth and then into trying to understand, it's easy to lose that.
Yeah.
And actually, as I've come to terms with having ADHD, that song at 45 is still the thing that resonates with me. I just thank you, God, for making me who I am.
Yeah.
Regardless of what people in organised religion might think of me, you think I'm great and you made me this way, which I like.
That's all we have time for this week, folks. Don't forget to like, subscribe and comment. Follow us on Instagram at Life in the Mind. Our other socials are linked in the bio. Bye!